Hello friends, today we are going to have a look into a branch of abstract algebra called ring theory. Please look into your PPT. What is an algebraic structure? Basically, an algebraic structure is a set with one or two or three binary operations, some unary operations defined on them. The three main algebraic structures that you come across in abstract algebra are groups, rings, and fields. You already know what a group is. A group is a non-empty set equipped with one binary operation star, which is associative. There exists an identity for star such that A star E equal to E star A equal to A for all A belonging to G. And every element A, there is an inverse element A inverse such that A star A inverse equal to A inverse star A equal to E. If in addition A star B equal to B star A for all A B belonging to G, we say that the group is commutative. There are many natural sets which come equipped with two binary operations, namely addition and multiplication. For example, all sorts of numbers. They have, for real numbers, complex numbers, rational numbers, they have one operation of addition and one operation of multiplication defined on them. The set of all m cross n matrices over n or R or over Z, they also come equipped with two binary operations. You know that you can add two matrices of the same type. You can multiply two matrices of compatible type. You know that. So they all come equipped with two binary operations. So mathematicians saw this and then they modeled, based on the model of integers, they defined the concept of ring. Please look into your PPT. What is a ring? A ring is a set R with two binary operations defined on it. One is called addition and other is called multiplication. What are the properties it satisfies with respect to these axioms? First of all, R plus is an abelian group. Then dot is associative, is left and right distributive over plus. Let us look at some examples. R plus cross, C plus multiplication, rational numbers with addition and multiplication, integers, they are all commutative rings with unity. Another important example is the set of all integers modulo n. Zn plus addition n, addition modulo n, multiplication modulo n is a commutative ring with unity. The set of all 2 cross 2 matrices with usual matrix addition and multiplication is a non-commutative ring with unity. 2z is also a ring. 2z plus cross is a ring. But the thing is, it is commutative, but it does not have a unity element. A ring which has a unity is called a ring with unity or a unital ring. Look into your PPT. In Z6, the element 2 does not have a multiplicative inverse. So in general, in a ring, every non-zero element does not have to have a multiplicative inverse. So in rings where these elements have a multiplicative inverse, we give them a special name. They are said to be a skew field or division ring. Now let us have a look at the smallest and most important skew field, namely the ring of quaternions. They were discovered by a famous Irish mathematician called William Rowan Hamilton. He looked in complex numbers. As you see, any complex number is of the form A plus IB. So you can look upon this as a vector space over the two-dimensional space whose bases are 1 and I. He tried to extend this concept to a triplet, that is a vector space having bases as 1, I and J. But for 10 years he did not succeed. And at the end of 10 years, one day when he was taking a walk with his wife from Dunsink Observatory to Dublin, he realized that instead of extending to 3, he can extend it to a 4-dimensional vector space, and in that case, he would be able to define a skew field. But the thing is that the ring that he defined was not commutative. He was so excited by his result that he carved this formula on a stone on Broom Bridge. Every year now the Irish people are so proud, they organize a walk called Quaternion Walk Day. Now let us have a small bit. I'll work out some details about the ring of quaternions. Please look into your we start with a vector space with bases 1, I, j and k. So any element belonging to this vector space can be written in the form x equal to a into 1 plus b times j plus c times b times I plus c times j plus d times k. For x equal to this and a dash plus b dash I plus c dash j plus d dash k, we define x equal to y if a equal to a dash, b equal to b dash, c equal to c dash, d equal to d dash. Define x plus y to be a plus a dash plus b dash times I, c plus c dash into j plus d dash into k. Now Hamilton defined the product by I dot I equal to j dot j equal to k dot k equal to minus 1, I dot j equal to minus j dot I equal to k, and so on. So I, j, k turns out to be minus 1. With this operation of addition and multiplication, you can easily verify that this becomes a Q becomes capital Q. In general, we denote it also by H in honor of Hamilton. H becomes a ring. We will show that every non-zero element has a multiplicative inverse. Consider Q equal to A plus B times I Cj plus dk be a non-zero quaternion. So A squared plus B squared plus C squared plus D squared is not equal to 0. Define Q bar, the conjugate of Q, to be A minus Bi minus Cj minus dk. Then you will find that QQ bar equal to QQ bar will be A squared plus B squared plus C squared plus D squared. Therefore, Q into Q bar upon A squared plus B squared plus C squared plus D squared equal to 1, or this is the multiplicative inverse of Q. So every non-zero element has a multiplicative inverse, and hence this is the important example of the most important and the smallest of skew fields. A skew field where multiplication is commutative is called a field. With multiplication, H is known as the quaternion group. This will help you to construct examples many times. For example, all this group has some important properties that all its subgroups are normal. Though the group itself is non-abelian, all its subgroups are normal. Then, if you consider groups of order 8, up to isomorphism there are only 5, out of which 2 are non-abelian. One of them is the dihedral group D4 and the other is the quaternion group. Later on, when we discuss subgroups, we will talk about the center of the quaternion group. We will find what is the center of the quaternion group. Now please look into your slides. Another person who made a very interesting contribution to ring theory is George Boole. Like you all know that when we are Cartesian geometry, Descartes combined geometry and algebra, and he represented geometrical things in terms of algebra. Boole did the same thing to logic. He tried to put the ideas of logic in algebraic notation. He realized that set union and intersection satisfy associativity, commutativity and distributive properties, but do not satisfy identity and inverse laws of addition. So he realized that on the power set one could define addition by x plus y equal to x delta y, that is the symmetric difference, and x into y as x intersection y. The symbol doesn't appear properly in your PPT, it is x intersection y. So what happens if you x dot x is x itself, So every element satisfies the multiplicative property a squared equal to a in this ring. Such an element for which a squared equal to a is said to be idempotent. So rings in which every element is idempotent, they are named after George Boole and they are called Boolean rings. You know an important property of groups, that in a group left and right cancellation laws hold good. Okay, there are some special type of rings in which they hold also. These type of rings are known as integral domains. What are integral domains? In the ring Z12, neither class 4 is 0 nor class 3 is 0, but their product is 0. Such elements are known as zero divisors. So what is a zero divisor? If A not equal to 0, there is an element B such that B not equal to 0 such that A into B is 0, then A is called a left divisor of 0. If there is a B such that B into A is 0, then A is called a right zero divisor. If it is either one, it is called a zero divisor. A ring with no zero divisor, the cancellation laws hold good. A commutative ring with unity that has no zero divisors is known as an integral domain. Z plus cross is the prototype of an integral domain. A commutative ring with unity in which each non-zero element has a multiplicative inverse is said to be a field. Automatically we realize that a field has no zero divisors and hence it is an integral domain. Why it doesn't have any zero divisors? If you see that A into B, if you see A times B equal to 0 and A not equal to 0, we can multiply by A inverse on both sides. So A inverse into A into B equal to A inverse into 0. That implies 1 into B equal to B equal to 0. So A into B is 0, A not equal to 0 implies that B must be 0. So a field has no zero divisors. So a field is an integral domain. Obviously the integral domain Z plus dot is not a field. So there are integral domains which are not fields. However, this is a very important result which can be easily proved, that every finite integral domain is a field. Just as we have subgroups of groups and normal subgroups of groups, we can have subrings and ideals of groups. What is a subring? A subset of a ring which forms a ring in its own right is known as a subring. Let R plus dot be a ring. A non-empty subset S of R is said to be a subring if S plus cross is a ring. With respect to the same operations in R, S must be a ring. In order that S be a subring, first of all, S plus must be an abelian group and S must be closed under multiplication. What is the condition that it should be an abelian group? A minus B should belong to S, A into B belongs to S. These are necessary and sufficient conditions for S plus cross to be a subring of R. What is an ideal? An ideal is also a special type of subring. I is said to be an ideal if, first of all, I plus is a abelian subgroup of R plus. I plus is a subgroup of R plus. 2. Whenever A belongs to I and R belongs to R, that is A is an ideal element, R is a ring element, AR, RA both belong to I, then we say that I is an ideal. An ideal is like a sponge. It absorbs elements. Whenever you multiply an ideal element by a ring element, you get an ideal back. Sometimes if the ring is not commutative, only AR may belong to I for every R. In that case, we say that I is a right ideal. Similarly, we can define a left ideal. An ideal which is both right ideal and left ideal. Ideal is one which is both a left ideal and a right ideal. What is special about ideals? You know all groups are equal, but normal subgroups have more power. Why? With normal subgroups, we can always define the quotient group. In the same way, ideals also help us to construct other rings, fields and integral domains. Let us see how to define the quotient ring. Suppose I is an ideal of ring R. Suppose I is an ideal of ring R. So first of all, I is a subgroup of R. Therefore, the quotient group R by I, consisting of all cosets of the form I plus A belonging to R, is well defined. The quotient group is well defined under the operation given by I plus A plus I plus B equal to I plus A plus B. We already have studied this in group theory. Now we want to endow this with a multiplication. So what we do is we define multiplication on R by I plus A into I plus B equal to I plus AB. Remember, I plus A, I plus B are both cosets. So whenever we define anything via cosets, we have to check that the definition is valid and is independent of the choice of representative elements from the coset. For example, we can write I plus A as in any other way where A dash is any other element of the coset. Supposing we have I plus A equal to I plus A dash, I plus B equal to I plus B dash. So this implies A minus A dash equal to some K1 which belongs to I. Similarly, B minus B dash is some K2 belonging to I.